welcome to In Touch with Durham County. I'm Deborah Craig-Ray, General Manager of Strategic Planning and Innovation, Public Affairs, and Special Projects. I'm joined by my co-host, County Commission Chairman Michael Page.
Hello, Deborah. As our regular viewers know, we use this TV show to interview our Durham County department heads, staff, and community partners to share important information about the many valuable programs and services.
Youth unemployment and underemployment continues to be a challenge in communities all across our nation. Our community is collaboratively working to break down barriers to employment for this group. We are pleased to welcome Meredith Holmes, Executive Director of Made in Durham, and Dr. William J. Fulkerson, Executive Vice President, Duke University Health System and Professor of Medicine at Duke University School of Medicine. They are here to share important work that is helping Durham's youth begin to make important gains in improving their educational outcomes and securing employment in an effort to provide a brighter future for this group of young people. In our second segment, we'll introduce you to the 2016 bond referendum. Chairman Page, let's begin our conversation.
Absolutely. Welcome again, Ms. Holmes and Dr. Fulkerson. Thank you so much for joining us today. Meredith, will you tell us more about Made in Durham and how it got started, and what are you trying to accomplish with this program?
Thanks. Made in Durham actually got started several years ago, though we've just finished our first fiscal year in June. But it was started when community leaders came together that were not happy with the results of young people gaining access to the great jobs that we have in our community. And so rather than leaving the education and support for our young people to one institution, we tend to think, let's just let the schools do it. But we need to work together. And so Made in Durham was formed. We're a backbone organization, we're a nonprofit, and we work with government, we work with education leaders, we work with alternative schools, and we work with employers to make sure that our young people are prepared for jobs.
How are you helping young people who are struggling the most?
Good question. Children go through school, and we start with pre-K and they go all the way, hopefully, and graduate from high school. Made in Durham's mission is to make sure that young people not only graduate from high school, but go on to achieve a post-secondary credential or go on to a four-year college. So to help support that work, our job is to enlist, as I said, we're the glue. People think of Made in Durham as being the glue. So one group, though, that have not been successful in navigating that career pathway that we talk about, may have dropped out of school. So for the young people that have already dropped out, we've found a place to bring them back in. And Durham Public Schools has a program called the Performance Learning Center. Gateway to College is a program that's at Durham Tech. And Achievement Academy is a small nonprofit, and these are programs, alternative education programs for young people who have dropped out. And it helps them to find a way back to complete a GED or a high school diploma and then navigate into a credential program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Please share with our viewers, what does an education to career system look like?
As I said, we start when they're young, but most importantly, we want to make sure they're prepared to get that high school diploma and then move on to Durham Tech, get a credential, move on to college, whether it's Central or Duke or I know UNC, I don't want to forget anybody, but we want to make sure that our young people receive all the advantages of a great education.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let's explore this just a bit further, if you don't mind. How exactly are you creating such a system here in Durham?
Mm-hmm. Good point. So with employers like Duke, we're making sure that we're talking to them. So very often, employers have been brought into the system to get a check, to ask for help, but we want to make sure that we're listening to employers, that we're talking to them about the skills that they need for their jobs. And so we want to hear from them about how do we make sure that we're meeting the demands of today's business environment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so you explained part of that, but exactly how can all of our area employees really help you in this work?
Great. Work-based learning is the way that we're engaging employers. And so it might be that a young person would have an experience for the first time finding out what a doctor does, or what an engineer does, or what does an accountant do. So we'll ask employers to come in and talk to a classroom. We'll ask some other employers, would you please have a bus tour to have students come out to your company and take a tour. Have all children haven't been out to the Research Triangle Park to know the exciting jobs that are experienced out there. So we want to take young people on tours, and we're asking employers to sign up, to come on and join us and be a part of this employer-led revolution where everybody is involved in schools. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, our local Chamber of Commerce. I just attended a summit last week, North Carolina Chamber of Commerce, or Education Summit was held, and you saw many, many employers that are involved now in education, again, making sure that young people are prepared. And then we want them to provide internships, so that our summer youth work program, where we've worked with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, we work with Durham Public Schools, we work with Durham Tech and NCCU to provide internships for young people so they can get that work experience while they're earning a little bit of money for the summer. And Duke has been a great partner in that work.
Great. So Dr. Fulkerson, can you please talk about how Duke University Health System is contributing to this effort?
Sure, Michael. As you know, Duke University Health System is the largest employer in Durham. And so we have multiple partnerships with organizations that give youth an opportunity to have an experience in healthcare or get some training in healthcare. As you know, we've had a partnership with Durham Public Schools and the City of Medicine Academy for years now. And for the last couple of years, we've partnered with Made in Durham to create summer internships for high school students to give them an opportunity to experience the kinds of careers and see the kinds of careers that they may aspire to in healthcare.
Great, that's fantastic. We hope that our community recognizes that Duke is one of our largest employers. And exactly why would you say is Duke interested in supporting this vital work?
Well, to be a world-class healthcare system like we are, we have to have the very best people working in our healthcare system. And so what better way to find the best people than to work right here at home, right here in Durham, to identify students, as Meredith said, at a relatively young age, but give them the kind of experience and the exposure to some of the most fascinating careers they could possibly aspire to, and where there is great demand in the marketplace. So to some extent, this is a little self-serving for us. We're trying to create the workforce we're going to have in the future.
Dr. Fulkerson, we are very excited to hear about Duke's commitment to this project. What would you say to other employers to get them interested in helping out in this effort?
Well, I think our motivation in the health system should be the same for other companies out there in Durham. We have a lot of terrific companies in Durham. And this is an opportunity for them, just like Duke, to introduce talented, young, motivated students to careers that may apply to their business someday down the road. And we employ a lot of different people, not just healthcare workers. So if they train people on information technology or they're training business and finance people, we'll hire them too down the road.
Very good, very good.
It's a real win-win program. It helps the students to learn about businesses and to learn about the jobs in their neighborhoods. And it also helps the company to create that talent pipeline Dr. Fulkerson was talking about. Yeah. So it really is a win-win program.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I know that most people can appreciate the fact that, you know, Duke is, of course, a large system with considerable resources. So are there ways that small companies can also participate?
Absolutely. And sometimes young people can get really great experiences. Triangle E-Cycling is one of the businesses that's been long involved with Durham Public Schools. And they train young people while they're in school, and then frequently are able to hire them right out of school, right out of high school sometimes, because they get such great experience with rebuilding computers. So they gain great experience, and they're a really good partner.
What is Made in Durham doing to engage more employers in this effort?
Well, you know, it's interesting to see, and it was new information for me when I started this work, how important an understanding of what work is all about is for young people. So there's a lot of research out there now that shows that when young people understand how their academics, what they're learning in school, connects to a job, and connects to work that they can be doing for a career, then they're less likely to drop out of school. They're more likely to stay engaged with their education. So we want to help them to make that connection between school and career. And we're working with, we're really hoping to scale up the number of employers that are involved. So we're working with the Chamber of Commerce, our local Durham Chamber of Commerce, to reach out to more employers. We're also working with the Triangle Society for Human Resource Executives, and they're also working with us to help us to reach out to more and more employers. There's a place for every employer, no matter how small, no matter how large. They can fit on the spectrum of work-based learning opportunities for young people.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, what will success look like for this effort?
It will be a fabulous success when we can have every young person, every person graduating from high school to have had a work-based learning experience, whether it's a company tour, whether it's job shadowing, whether it's an internship. But we want children to have myriad experiences with companies and with businesses so that by the time they graduate from high school, they have a better idea of what they'd like to do for a career, and they know the importance of the education that they're getting. So every child should have a work-based learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're about out of time. Is there any final thing you'd like to add?
Well, I would just say that in our 2 years of working with Made in Durham, I think this is something that's been very good for the students, but it's very good for our businesses too. And so we're very excited about the future.
Mm-hmm. Meredith?
And I'd just like to say www.madeindurham.org. If you're an employer, go to that site and click on Get Involved, and you'll learn how you can get your business involved with Made in Durham.
Well, very good. Again, we'd like to thank you both for joining us today because this is very important work. I think the future is bright for this program, and thank you both for taking the time to share your knowledge with these young people who so desperately need a hand up.
Thank you for having us.
And we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the 2016 bond referendum set for the November 8th election. Please stay with us.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Welcome back. As you know, this fall marks election season, and we are already hearing about the candidates. But you may not know it, but you will have a chance to vote on a proposed 2016 bond referendum of $170 million for public projects on November 8th.
Yes, all of Durham County voters will be able to weigh in on 4 separate ballot questions for the $170 million referendum. Durham County voters last approved a major bond referendum in 2007.
Chairman Page, let's share a little bit about this proposed general obligation bonds. A general obligation bonds is a way that local governments finance long-term projects over many years. Most local governments don't have the option to pay as you go for such large projects as schools, courthouses, and other public buildings. Within strict guidelines, cities and counties have the ability to go before their voters and ask permission to use this financing tool.
And that's a great point. And because Durham County has a AAA credit rating from Moody's and Standard & Poor's, we're able to get these funds at the lowest possible interest rate, thereby meeting real savings for our residents. Bottom line, it's a good deal for our community.
So let's talk about the bonds that are on the November 8th ballot for voters to approve. The funds are proposed to help 4 entities: Durham Public Schools, the Durham County Main Library, Durham Technical Community College, and the Museum of Life and Science. Let's start with a summary of the schools.
So Durham Public Schools is seeking $90 million to help its 50 facilities. Key projects include building a new Northern High School and providing major renovations to Eno Valley Elementary. But also included is a critical focus on system-wide security, upgrades to all of the schools. There will also be a major roof repairs, improved lighting, and HVAC system upgrades to make students and staff more comfortable.
And now we move to our Durham County Library. Viewers may know that we've built several regional libraries over the past several years, but our main location downtown has been waiting for its turn.
That's correct. So the 2016 bond referendum includes $44.3 million for the main library renovation. There will be expansion of the library space and upgrades to all areas. The new facility will include enhancements to technology to provide more unique programming, and there will even be enclosed parking for the bookmobile in a new facility. I've heard there will be a plaza, new entry, and other outdoor areas.
Next is Durham Technical Community College. What is being proposed for the campus, Chairman Page?
Durham Technical Community College plans to use a $20 million to expand their Newton Technology Center and add classrooms, expand the automotive systems and construction trades program, additional parking, as well as other key upgrades on the campus.
And the Museum of Life and Science rounds out the 4 bond projects.
Yes, the museum continues to be a favorite destination. Funding of $14.1 million will help improve access to a new lobby and school group entrances, provide expanded space for more exhibits and classrooms, and construct a new parking deck.
Very good. Let's look for continuing information about the 2016 bond referendum on the November 8th ballot. All Durham County voters have a chance to vote on the $170 million package. That does it for today.
We have had a wonderful show on today. Thank you, Deborah, and I can't wait to see what we will discuss next time.
I think it might be a good idea for us to invite the people who will represent all of these 4 bond projects and have them provide information to help the citizens understand what's going on.
That's a very good idea as we look forward to this 2016 bond referendum.
Okay, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us. Please be with us next time for In Touch with Durham County. Cheers.